Right guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm just going to be showing you how to install a Shimano R9100 front mech to your bike. So I'll go ahead and we'll run through the steps. Right, so here we have the front mech. This is a band on, as you can see, but I'll try and explain a braze on while I'm fitting this, just in case you've got a braze on. There's not a lot of difference in the fitment really, there's just one extra 2mm hex head involved in it, but that's it. So they're basically the same. With regards to the hex heads, obviously you've got a 5mm there, what clamps it to your bike. You've got the high and low screws in there, they're both 2mm. High is that one and low is that one. Then you've got another one up there, which is your cable tension adjustment, which I'll get into later. Obviously the cable, what ties your cable up on the top, that just comes off like so. And then you've got a 4mm there in the top, which is your pinch bolt. And obviously you can see that that moves away from there like that. So obviously that is what effectively is going to adjust your tension. As you screw in the Allen key there, it'll tension up your cable tension, as you can see, by just moving it around like that when your cable's pinched in, but I'll come to that later. So that's the actual mech itself. Obviously your cover just pops back on the top like so, but I'll get into all that, but there's the mech anyway. Right, when I was talking about the cable adjustment, to get the cable tension right on the cable, it's difficult to see on a Dura because the lines aren't actually clearly marked on there. They're just, it's just black here, which you'll see in a minute when I show you on another model. You'll see the difference. But basically, I'll try and show you it as clear as I can. So you've got what would be a painted line at the end of the screwdriver, that little mark there would be one of the lines, and the long mark here, there, would be the other line. So basically when you're doing the cable tension later on, those lines would line up, if you see what I mean. And I'll show you on another derailleur now, so you can see clearly where the lines actually are, what I'm talking about, because on a Dura one it's hard to see if you've never done it before, so I'll just show you on another model. Right, so here we have an R9100 derailleur, and you can see the lines I was talking about there, and the one that's pointing directly up, that one there. So there and there, and those are the two lines that you have to line up when you're doing the cable tension adjustment. But as I say, if I show you the Dura one again, you'll see that they're not clearly marked like that with silver lines. Two lines there on a Dura. See on the Dura, there's no silver lines marking those. Right, so before you start the installation actually on the bike, what you want to do is, where the cable goes up in there, as you can see, what you want to do is, there's no good just putting a cable up through that hole and out, because you can see it's just going to be metal on metal. They're actually designed for a cable stop like so. To go up in there, you see the flat piece on that cable stop will correspond with the flat piece up in here. It's got a flat side to it up in there. So you put the flat to the flat. Now you can cut that down. They don't have to be, you don't have to have them full length like that. You can cut these ridges off it, so you've just got the end piece like that, but it'll just stop your cable rubbing in there, because they're actually designed, I don't know why, they're actually designed for a cable to come out of here with a stop on it. But what, I don't think many bikes you'll be using a full length outer cable with the front mech. So you can just snip that down, just get your cable cutters, whatever, and you can just cut off those ridges off of there. just to get rid of them. Just cut a few off like that, and then you can just put that. You see the flat corresponds with the flat that's up in there. So you just get the flat side like that, and you can just rest that up in there and push it in. It's a bit fiddly, but you got to do it, otherwise it'll just wear the cable away. Straight away, as soon as you start using it, your cable won't last 5 minutes because it's metal on metal. So get your stop, push that up in the hole, and then you're ready to get your get the actual derailleur mech onto the bike. Right, so the first step in the installation, obviously remove your chain from your bike, and you've got to run a new shift cable in, because your cable on there won't be long enough, and it's always better to put a new cable on when you're fitting something new anyway. So after you've done that, you can go ahead, and if you've got a band on, like I said, go ahead, get it clamped around the frame, and obviously you want to line it up with, like it says on the side there, with a couple of mil gap, so it's just lining up with the teeth pointers there. So get that done. So it's just a couple of millimetre gap really there. Then you don't need your cable cover on, so you can just go ahead and take that off for the time being. So the difference between, obviously this is a band on, like I said, and the band on, you can just go on, you just go ahead and clamp it round and get it parallel with the outside teeth of the chain ring and clamp it up. But with a band on, sorry, with a brace on, you've got an additional 2mm Allen key. So when you've got it done up with your onto your bolt on your hanger off your frame, when you've got it done up there, then you want it slightly inboard with the back of the cage. So it's just slightly away from the teeth at the back, not parallel. So when it's just, so it's slightly over that way at the back. And when it's just slightly over that way, then you go ahead with your Allen key, and then you locate the adjustment screw, what's going through, and obviously it's going through and it's pushing onto your frame with a tab on your frame to protect your frame. It's carbon. You stick the sticker on the frame, and then that's just going through and it's pushing on it, so it's just putting some load onto that. So as it's doing that, it's just bringing it back out, so it's then parallel. So obviously, so it's inboard to start with, and then as you screw it in, it's just bringing it out so it's parallel again with the teeth. So it's just loading it up, so it's got more, so it's got tension on it. And that's the difference between the band on and the brace on one. It's just another adjustment to make. So you just want it inboard and then bring it out. When you turn it, adjustment, you just bring in the cage back outboard again, so it's in line, parallel with the teeth again on the outside. And that's the difference between the two. Other than that, the adjustments after that are the same. So once you've got it clamped on, it's parallel, it's mating up with the gap there on this band on one. Then you're ready, you've got your cable, you put your stop in, like I said, you cut your stop down, you put that in, then you go ahead and run your cable up through and get it up so it's coming out through the top here. Right, so once you've got your cable coming out over the top like so, you can go ahead with your 4mm Allen key, hex head there, and slacken that off. So you just undo that. But if you note that the whole thing moves like so, so you just slacken it off, it doesn't matter where it is, just slacken that off. What you got to make sure is that when you put the cable underneath, that it's round like so, so as they're hitting on there, so they're both touching together. So obviously they can move separate, so if you put it like that, it's no good, because then when you tighten, when you make your adjustment here that's not going to hit anything. That's got to be round and touching it like there. So that's got to be touching that. So here, like so. So it's easy for when you're putting this cable under there and you're tightening this back up, as you can see, it's easy for that thing to move and you don't notice it and it's not touching. So make sure when you've got your cable underneath, you put your cable underneath the pinch bolt. So just slacken that right out, just so it's just in there, like that. And then you can go ahead, you just pop your cable under there for now, like so. And then you can tighten that down. But when you tighten it down, make sure that it's touching there when the cable's underneath. Right, so there's the cable installed. Like I said, it's touching there, cable's in. You can just leave it like that. When you before you pinch it up, just make sure you're pulling on the cable whilst you're pinching it up. So give that cable a pull and then pinching it down at the same time as you're pulling on it to get some pressure on it, and then pinch it up. And you can just leave the cable like that for now, and then we'll move on to the next step. Right, so once you've got your cable in position, you can just leave it like so. Now what you've got to do then is just go to your lever and just shift all the way up to the outer chainring, like so. And then if you just press your lever, you just tap the lever, it will just go down half a shift sort of thing, not to the lowest chainring. If you press it again, it goes right down to the lowest inner chainring. So if you're on your outer chainring, you just tap the lever and it just moves slightly like so, in between the two. It's not actually shifted down to the inner chainring. And that's the position then that you make the adjustment with your 2mm hex head on the cable tension there. So what you do is you like I said earlier, you come in to the back there, you're looking at those lines there. As you can see, that line, still to see it, is almost lined up with a little mark on there. It's not quite though, almost, but not quite. So what we'll do then to get them in line, exactly in line, is with your 2mm hex head, you can just turn it clockwise, and it's very hard to see, but it's just tensioning that up. So you tension it till they're dead in line. So now they're actually spot on in line. There, those two, tiny little dash on there above this hole, and the long line on there. So by tensioning that up a couple of turns, it's just bringing them dead smack bang in line, like that. And once they're in line, say, remember your shifter is in the position halfway between the two, like I said, to do that adjustment. Once you've done that, then you just shift back down like so. Just shift up and down a couple of times just to make sure your cable is not going to stretch or anything. Just stretch it, just go up and down 5-6 times just so you're happy with it, to make sure it's changing properly, like so. Go up and down like that. And once you've done that, just put it on the outer chainring. Then you can come make some adjustments, like I said, to the your high screw. The best way to do that is just get your chain back on and just lay it over on your outer chainring, so you can see what it's going to look like with the chain on. So I'll just go and put that back on. Right, so we got the chain back on. It's just hanging over, it's not done up, it's just hanging between there and the rear cassette. Now what you want to do is try it from somewhere near the top all the way down to 11. Just move it by hand, the chain. If you start up there, roughly, I know you wouldn't be doing that very often because you cross chaining a bit, but it's better to have it like that than not. So you might as well just start up somewhere near the top there. Obviously you're not going to go right up anywhere near there because you're cross chaining far too much, but somewhere here. Then just check it on the front, and as you can see there, it's going to be touching. It's touching like that. Just move that out of the way. Just like that. It's going to be touching the inner there, look, as you can see. So you just go, so if that's the case, take the chain out of the way for a minute. If that's the case, then just get your 2mm hex head on your high screw. Then you can just turn it anti-clockwise, and it's just going to move it away, like so. Just moving it away from there. Then we can try it again. And what you want to do is try it, like I said, halfway up the rear cassette. So I'll just pull the chain back through, and you can also try it on the 11 at the back, like so. Just hook that on the 11 and see. I'll just pull that right back round so it's not in the way. Put it on the 11 at the back, just rest it on there like so. And then you can see, the best thing to do is hold that end of the chain and hold that end of the chain, and then stand behind the bike and look at it from behind there, and you can see if it's going to be touching. So you can pull some tension onto the chain then, so you can see if it's going to be touching. So we'll just have a quick look there. It's a job to see holding the camera at the same time, but I think it might still be touching. It's just touching. Now you very rarely get it so as it's perfect, so there's a big gap. There's never going to be a big gap between there and the chain, it's impossible, or the inside of there and the chain. It's very, very close, i.e. when it's, if you've got the chain on, you're actually pedalling, the chain tends to move like so. So it's bound to be just slightly touching it at some point. There's no way you're not going to get it, so you can be up here somewhere and it's not going to be touching in there, the inside, and vice versa. You could be on the 11 and it could be touching just very slightly on the outside. But if you think how much time you spend in your 11 when you're pedaling along, how much time you spend in that gear, then it doesn't matter if it's very slightly touching there, because the time you spend in that gear is very minimal compared to the sort of middle of the cassette. So the best place to set it up is like just there somewhere, because you spend most of your time somewhere in here. You're not on there and on there, only for very short amounts of time in the whole ride. So you don't have to worry about the top, like I said earlier, because it's cross chaining. But the amount of time you're in there, say, and the amount of time you're in the inner chain ring, and you're actually on the biggest at the back, is very minimal in comparison to the time you're somewhere in the middle of the cassette. So it's just a case of, obviously, inner chain ring's the same. You just rest the chain up on there, try it on the inner chain ring and see if it's very close. If it is, then just get your 2mm Allen key, go to your low screw, just give it a turn, and you just see the cage move away. But like I said, the amount of time you're in the largest sprocket at the back, it's bound to be just slightly touching it, the same as it will be when you're on the outer chain ring at the front. When you're in the 11 at the back, it's going to be, you know, basically just passing it, just rubbing on it, on the wear indicators. The black pieces there, the plastic, that's what they're for. So they wear, and you're not wearing away the metal. So if it's touching there, it's not the end of the world. I'll say, once you've got the high and low screw set up and you're happy with that, you can go ahead and actually put your chain back on and just give it some rotations then, because like I say, the chain moves anyway. But then once you're happy with all them settings, the high and low, you're ready for the next stage. Right, so once you've got your chain refitted properly, then you can go ahead, put your chain on the outer chain ring like so. So as the derailleur, so it's pointing up in the air like that to finish the cable off. Then the cable just goes underneath like so, then underneath there. You can just pop it between the gap for now, like so. And then if you hold it there, and then you can shift back down to the inner chain ring at the front. Right, so once you shift it back down to the inner chain ring at the front, you can go ahead and just thread your cable cover stop over the cable like so. Obviously it's got a bigger hole there and a smaller hole where it exits, so obviously it goes into the bigger hole first where the cable goes, so you just thread that on like so, and then the round lug there, the round lug here goes down the centre of the bolt hole, pinch bolt hole there, so you can just get that, put that down the middle of there like so, and just clip it on like that, push it on, so that's on there. Then all you've got to do is cut your cable and put a cable stop on there, just remembering to allow for the stop to go on, so you don't want to cut it dead tight. Obviously you need something to put the cable stop onto. Right, once you got the cables cut to length there, you put your stop on like so, and that's the installation basically complete on it. So it's pretty straightforward to do. Just take your time with it. Right, so that's the installation complete behind me. Now, regards to tools I use, obviously it's just 5mm hex head, 2mm hex head, 4mm hex head. Something to remove your chain with, so your quick link pliers or a chain link pin remover tool. Obviously you want a decent pair of cable cutters and a new cable, so you can cut that. And just a cable end stop, so as you can put up, like I showed at the beginning, into the derailleur to stop the cable chafing through on the metal, so it's not metal to metal. Other than that, if you follow the steps correctly and take your time, then anyone can install one, so it's not rocket science. So yeah, so give it a go yourself. So if you found the video helpful in any way, give it a thumbs up. Till next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.